Yeah, hey there, guys. What's interesting so far, not a really big problem. We're seeing the afternoon commute, but we've got some warmer temperatures, which is really good. Ground Cam 9 is out there keeping an eye on the roads for us, and you can see rainy, gray conditions. And what the important part of that picture is the water on the pavement, because as Julian mentioned, it's going to get cold out there tonight, folks, which means those roads are going to get slick and it's going to get dicey. Let's take a look at some of our maps in-house here. This is the driving conditions at this hour. So we are seeing relatively good conditions or fair conditions closer to the city and in the surrounding immediate suburbs. But to the north and to the west, that's where the driving conditions are already starting to fall apart. And that is moving this way. So you have to be aware that that is coming this way. Let's take a look at travel times right now. Inbound on the Edens Lake Cook to the Kennedy Junction, 22 minutes. Looking good on the outbound side. All of this right now fairly typical. The Kennedy, both inbound and outbound heavy, as it usually is this time of day. At the Stevenson as well as the Ike is also heavy. Downtown to Thorndale is going to take you an hour 12. That's a little bit heavier than normal at this hour, but not by a whole lot just yet. So we'll expect that to increase as the afternoon goes on. The Stevenson outbound heavy at this time, again, fairly typical for this time of day, as is the Dan Ryan in the usual spots. We're also watching the airports. We've had 14 cancellations and 193 delays at O'Hare. Midway's had fewer, but still some. 39 cancellations and 53 delays. We're going to keep you up to date on all these numbers. Watch the conditions. No major accidents out there yet, but we'll let you know if and when those do start occurring. Ben? Hey there, guys. Yeah, this is completely following what Demetrius said. We're looking at travel conditions right now, and where they are deteriorating is right where the weather is changing. Take a look at some of our maps. We're seeing poorer driving conditions out there, north and west of the city, a little bit closer to town, still fair, but the roads are wet out there, so be aware of that. We do have some crashes in the suburbs. We're watching in Woodridge at 75th and Woodward Avenue, in Lombard at Finley and Harrison, Lyle at Yackley and Ogden, Fox Lake at Rollins and Washington. The good news is no accidents on the major expressways, but we are seeing some higher travel times at this hour. We also have a gas main break reported in Romeoville. Arlington Drive is closed between Glen and Everett. Now, let's take a look at those travel times. Inbound on the Edens, Lake Cook to the Kennedy Junction, 42 minutes, still looking pretty good on the outbound side. This is fairly typical right now. The Kennedy is quite heavy outbound downtown to O'Hare. An hour 17, the inbound side still looking fairly normal. The Ike right now very heavy as well. An hour 18 to get outbound on the Ike, and same thing on the inbound side. The Stevenson's not too bad. That's pretty typical for this time of night, as is the Dan Ryan. We're going to continue to watch these travel times. As I mentioned, no major crashes on the expressways, but we're watching the travel conditions deteriorate as that storm comes in from the west. So the changing temperature is changing those travel times as well. Tom? Yeah, guys, we're getting word that a person has been shot and that they have shut down the southbound lanes of I-57 just past Halsted. And we think the shooting actually happened here at 101st Street down here. And then we are getting word is that a dark colored van was actually seen fleeing this area, bringing this up onto the southbound lanes of I-57. Not sure if it was one or more person that was actually shot in this incident. We know police are obviously on the scene investigating. We've heard an ambulance being called to the scene as well. Traffic is getting by on the shoulder, but again, southbound lanes of I-57 completely shut down at this point. A bad time of day. We're seeing traffic just inching by in this area, and we're likely going to see some issues on the flip trip as well, as we're going to get gapers to the very large police presence in that area. We are working to get some new information. All of this is just coming in to me in the last few minutes, and we'll get you an update as soon as we can.
Rutledge and Skycam 9. Wow, Amy.
Yeah, Micah, they just pulled up to his house, and as you can see, there are a number of officers lining the driveway, waiting for Luis Duarte, 31-year-old Cicero police officer, to get help getting out of this vehicle. About a 25-mile trip from Mount Sinai Hospital to get him here home. He did that complete with a full escort. There you can see him getting him out of the car now. As we've been reporting for the last 5 days, the officer was shot several times near the Stevenson at Cicero just 5 days ago and underwent surgery to repair those wounds and is already going back home with a walker. But we saw pictures of him earlier today, and he was in the hospital smiling as he was about to be released. Probably a good 12 cars escorting him to get to his home here. And then along the way, it was great to see along the bridges and the stop signs and the stop lights that people had pulled over. Police cars were waiting to salute him as he passed by. But again, they're here at his house, getting him out of the vehicle. He's standing up with the walker, making his way back into his home with several of his fellow officers alongside. Chicago police were there. Obviously, the Cicero police were there. Saw some state police as well. A lot of people here to support him and his family, when just 5 days ago we were reporting on the shooting of this officer, and we didn't know the condition he was in at this time. So it's just pretty amazing to see him limping but standing upright and getting himself into his home.